Hi, so my name is Alejandra Marchevsky, and a sign of how long I've lived here is that I probably know like half the students in the room. I've met at some point in one of my classes, right? So I've been at Cal State LA for 20 years. I started when I was 29 years old as an assistant professor, and I'm pushing 50. I raised my son here. I've grown up here, and I feel profoundly proud every day that I work here, even though this is a good opportunity to say that I'm also directing women's and queer studies. And my office, which I feel very grateful to have because I don't have to share it, is a former closet. So at Cal State LA, we put queer studies in the closet. So when I first started here in the late 90s, we were on the tail end of the Clinton years, right? So some of us who are the veteranos in the room, the veteranas, can remember the Clinton administration. And they really were the first kind of White House administration to master the theater of the town hall. Right? They were great at bringing diverse crowds together and evoking, these very kind of Oprah-esque testimonios of pain and suffering and feeling people's pain, right? And that was sort of Bill Clinton's classic line, is "I feel your pain." And then they would turn around and they would escalate the war on drugs, right? And incarcerate poor communities, and they would militarize the border through Operation Gatekeeper, and they would cut back welfare checks, right? And so for those of you that are growing up today talking about police violence, about having family members in prison or killed by the police, right? Talking about being afraid that your family members are going to be deported, that is the legacy, right, of that era. And the Clintons gave the same excuses that we're hearing now. This is not the political time to ask for more. It's not the moment to push back. We have friendly Democrats in the White House. We need to make deals. We need to be realistic. We don't have funding. Right? But I think what we've been hearing from everyone here is that we want to see some leadership. Right? We want to see some real leadership. Some moral leadership, not just some fiscal responsibility. And I think the other thing that we haven't talked about is how impaction is like a plague that is spreading throughout the CSU. So when we're here trying to stop it at Cal State LA, part of what we're doing, we know that after here, it goes to Dominguez Hills, right? And so if we're worried about black student access to higher ed, let's talk about what's going to happen at Dominguez Hills when those students who can't get in here are getting turned away at Dominguez Hills. So what we need to say is we're not going to follow the dominoes that are falling across the system. We're going to stop that cascade, right? It stops here, and you're hearing very clearly from the community, this train is moving, right? You're hearing very clearly from faculty, from students, from staff, that this is not the right decision. So we're asking you, can you commit tonight, because this is going to happen tomorrow at ELAC, and now you've been challenged to go to high schools and talk to 16-year-olds who have been struggling to meet that minimum requirement that the CSU promises them, only to find out that next year it's not going to be good enough, right? Can you make a commitment today to stop the train and allow this conversation, right, and real community putting our heads together, working together to address the myriad problems, right, that plague our campus? We're here till 10 o'clock. Most of us have been working since 5 a.m. Right? You have, but we have too. Right? I was here last night till 10 p.m. teaching a class. Can we put our heads together, work together for a year to find another way out of this situation? Can you commit to that?
Yes, no.
Well, that's a very Clinton answer.